Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and just like a Jeopardy board, we're going to have a lot of different categories tonight. We're going to have a Greyhound Women's Rodeo. We're going to have Greyhound Cross Country, both men and women. We're going to have a high school spotlight courtesy of Orlando and Landry that's going to focus on football. My overtime will cover baseball, but as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Saturday, a pretty good day for most of the sports teams at Eastern New Mexico University. One exception, the Greyhound football team. They had a 14-point lead against UTPB at halftime. Unfortunately, lost by 10 points. But Greyhound volleyball, they got their second win of the season. Greyhound women's soccer, they had a 2-1 victory over Midwestern State. 2-1 victory over Midwestern State for the Greyhound guys. And to make it even sweeter, Midwestern State ranked 13th in the nation when the Greyhounds got the better of them. Well, that has been an Eastern recap, so what we'll do is we'll clear the set and we'll bring in 3 members of the Greyhound Women's Rodeo Squad right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and it's time to saddle up for our first interview segment. And lo and behold, we've got 3 ladies who sit on saddles from the rodeo squad. We've got Amanda, we've got Madeline, we've got Harley. Ladies, welcome to Sportslook.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Well, Amanda, we'll start out with you. Where are you from, and what was the process that got you to rodeo at Eastern New Mexico?
I am from Stinnett, Texas, and I'm a junior here. I transferred from Clarendon College, and Albert, the coach here, just kind of recruited me, and he was real persistent, and finally I decided that this is the place I wanted to go.
Very good. Madeline, we'll ask you the same question. Where are you from, and what got you to Eastern?
I'm from Halkirk, Alberta, Canada, and I went to Vernon, Texas the past 2 years, and I transferred here after Albert was also pretty persistent, and the program looked pretty good. I actually read him a while ago in high school rodeo, and so it's kind of funny we finally ended up here. I actually kind of followed Harley Ann here.
Well, that leads us nicely into Harley. Where are you from, and what got you here originally?
I'm from Athabasca, Alberta, Canada as well, by Santa Claus. And I went to Vernon, Texas for 2 years as well, and I ended up coming to Eastern. I met Albert and Jenny, and they were really good to me and gave me a pretty good offer, and it seemed like family here, so that's how I ended up here.
How far back does your association with horses go? Was it something that you just from the time that you were old enough to walk you were riding, or was it something you gradually turned to?
No, as soon as I could walk, actually before I could walk, I was on horses and trying to get on one. So my family, I'm a second-generation cowgirl, third-generation cowgirl, I guess, and I'm just lucky. I've been fortunate enough to have good horses underneath me that have got me here. So,
Madeline, I'll ask you the same question. At what age did you pick up horse riding?
Yeah, about the same. Just like ever since I was pretty little. We ranch, so just from that we were using horses a lot. My parents actually, neither of them rodeoed, but they were very supportive of the path that I wanted to take, so that was pretty awesome.
Excellent. And Amanda, I ask you the same question.
Pretty similar. I don't actually remember the first time riding. It's been just, we rode better. All my siblings and I rode better before we walked good. That's how it was with my family. I had 5 siblings older than me that all rodeoed, so there just wasn't really another option. It was just the thing to do, and it was a really fun childhood.
Well, for people who may not be familiar with the sport, they may be familiar with the term rodeo, but they may not actually know what goes into it. There are different events. What event do you do?
I dabble in a little bit all of them. My main focus is breakaway. I also team rope a little bit and tie goats.
Very good. And Madeline, how about you?
My main focuses are barrel racing and goat tying, but I also really enjoy team roping and breakaway roping.
Very good. Harley, how about you?
I focus in barrel racing, and I try to breakaway rope, and I also team rope, but not at the college rodeos.
Well, you talked about, all three of you ladies talked about the fact that Coach Flynn was instrumental in helping to get you here to Eastern. If you had to say one thing about Coach Flynn that really stands out, that made an exceptional connection between you and Coach Flynn, what was it?
I just really like that he treated all his girls and his whole team like family, and he took them under their wing. And a lot of us, there's a lot of Canadians on the team and a lot of kids from all over, and he just took us under his wing and really helped us out as much as he could. So
Very
that
good.
really stood out.
And Madeline, I'll ask you the same question. What about Coach Flynn really stood out?
I'd have to agree with her statement right there. When I first met him, he really pays attention to detail. I was at National High School Finals, and I had actually fumbled my tie on a goat, but he still talked to me, and he was like, I know that you can tug it, you have fast hands, even though you messed up. So it's kind of just like, wow, he does pay attention like really good to that kind of stuff.
Very good. And Amanda, I'll ask you the same question.
Of all the coaches I talked to, he cared more about the overall college experience. It wasn't just how you perform in the arena. It was more so, how are your grades? What's your work ethic? Are you going to be somebody that adds to the team in a positive way? And he cared about that more than necessarily how you performed. And I thought that was pretty special, because I talked to quite a few coaches, and I think we are college rodeoing, and that's what we put a lot of time into. But at the end of the day, we're gonna have to graduate at some point, and we want to make sure we focus on our education and do the best we can in school also.
Well, speaking of which, what are you majoring in?
I am majoring in communication with a focus in journalism.
Well, very good. Someday you may be a part of Sportslook here.
I would love that.
You may take my job someday. So, we can only hope. Madeline, how about you? What are you majoring in?
I'm studying environmental sciences,
Very good. And what do you hope to do with your degree?
environmental reclamation consulting.
Very good. Well, I like to see people that are concerned about the future, so
Yep.
that's good. And Harley, how about you?
I'm actually getting my master's in communications, trying to focus in public relations right now. So.
Very good. Well, do you want to have like your own consulting company, or do you hope to work for a public relations firm?
I actually plan to go to law school once I graduate. So I'll graduate in May and hopefully go to law school next fall.
Good for you. Well, do you hope to go back to the Great Wide North to practice law, or do you like it down here in the States?
I'd like to go to Texas Tech, to Lubbock, to get my law degree and write my Texas bar and stay down here ideally, but we'll see how it all pans out.
There you go. Madeline, how about you? Trip back to Canada, or do you like living down here?
Well, as much as I love living down here, I'll probably at least go back home for a couple of years and just see where the wind takes me.
There you go. Well, the wind will take you a lot of places here in Portales, New Mexico. Amanda asked you the same question. Do you hope to go back to the Lone Star State, or just wherever a good job takes you?
I eventually want to end up in Texas for sure. I appreciate New Mexico for what it is, but Texas for sure has my heart. So I know I'm going to end up there, but I definitely wouldn't mind seeing the sights a little bit before I do that.
There you go. Amanda, let me ask you, so far you've had 5 rodeo events this fall. What's been the highlight for you personally?
Oh, goodness. It's been fun just realizing that even when you don't win, you can still appreciate that you're able to do it, appreciate the work that's gotten you here and how fortunate you are to do this event, because it takes so many moving parts. And just giving myself a little grace and maturing, and you don't have to win to be grateful and have fun. So.
Well, Madeline, I think the object sitting over to my left probably indicates where we're going to go with this,
Yes,
but
sir.
What's been the highlight of the fall for you?
Well, the Texas Tech Rodeo is obviously a highlight. I won my first event, I guess, but just seeing new people, being in a new school, kind of just a new experience as a whole has been pretty fun.
And winning Texas Tech was just
Yes,
icing on the cake.
that's icing on the cake for sure.
There you go. And Harley, of the 5 rodeos that you've had, which one has personally for you been the most satisfying?
I just have to agree with Amanda on this. I had a hard fall. My good barrel horse has been out, so it's been a learning curve. And unlike other sports, you're reliant on animals, not just your personal how you perform. And I had a tough fall. I drew some good calves in the breakaway, and I drew some not so good calves. And just trying to get with a different barrel horse was a struggle, but it's definitely a learning curve, and you just take what you can and make the best of it on every given run because you're working with not just yourself, sometimes animals that are pretty stubborn.
Yes, I found that out as a child myself. So, ladies, congratulations on the great fall for Eastern Women's Rodeo. Have a great off season, and good luck when rodeos start up again in the spring.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our first interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set and we'll cue up a high school spotlight right now.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of High School Spotlight. I'm Landry Widener.
And I'm Orlando Perez.
Last Friday night, we took a second trip back to my hometown to catch the Melrose Buffaloes as they took on the Magdalena Steers in the first round of the state playoffs.
That's right, and it was a really high-scoring game, and both teams' scores combined scored 68 points. Let's check out the highlights to see how it all happened.
The Buffaloes starting off strong. They get it going through the air as number 4 Dylan Valentine receives the pass and takes it in for the Buffaloes' second touchdown of the ball game. This puts the score at 14-0 with 9 minutes left in the first.
Magdalena will get things started here with freshman quarterback Josh Baca hitting the right edge on a design quarterback run, gets to the sideline, and manages to stay in bounds all the way to the end zone. For the 2-point conversion, Baca dumps it off in the flat to a wide-open Danny Pino. This makes the score 14-8, Melrose in front.
The Buffaloes will respond as senior quarterback Tristan Senna will take this one down the middle and fake out his defenders, bringing it all the way down the sideline, almost tripped up, but dives into the end zone for another Buffalo touchdown. Melrose now up 20-8 with 6 minutes left in the first.
Baca once again using his legs to escape the pressure, tries to hit his man, but it's picked off by Senna, who is all over the field tonight doing what it takes to help his team win.
Senna will now get the snap and show off his moves again as he takes this one down the middle, follows his blockers, goes down the sideline, and again increases Melrose's lead. He's not done as he completes this 2-point conversion by running around the defense and in the end zone. Melrose is now up by 20 with about 4 minutes left in the first.
Baca doing everything he can to try and scrape together a drive in this one. He's breaking arm tackles left and right, trying to pick up a first down.
After the change of possession, Melrose is back on offense. Michael Cardenita throws this one up, and it's handled nicely by Tate Sorgen, who completes the contested catch.
The Buffaloes knocking on the door hand it off right up the middle to Senna, who gets into the end zone for the touchdown. Cardenita fakes the run and heads to the outside, beating the defense to the pylon for the 2-point conversion. Melrose leading this game 36-8 early in the second.
Cardenita with another pass, and there's Valentine again, completing the catch and gets pushed out of bounds.
The Buffaloes coach feeding the hot hand here and handing it back off to Senna, who breaks through the line, cuts back all the way across the field, making the defenders miss, and walking into the end zone, but getting hit kinda late. Senna doing everything here as he walks it in right up the middle for the 2 points. Melrose running away with it 44-8.
Magdalena is now in possession, but they quickly lose it as there's a scramble for the loose ball, and Trace Jackson for Melrose comes up with it.
The Buffaloes running the counterplay to perfection as Senna once again hits the left edge and outruns the defense for the score. It's Senna again on the 2-point conversion as he hops over a grounded defender and across the line. Melrose running up the score here.
Thanks for watching High School Spotlight.
And before we throw it back to Doc, be sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates, photos, and highlights. Once again, I'm Orlando Perez.
And I'm Landry Widener, and we'll see you next week.
Welcome back to Sportslook. Thanks to Orlando and Landry for that look at Melrose and Magdalena. And by the way, belated happy birthday to Orlando, who had a birthday 2 days ago. And a guy who's equally happy, not his birthday, but happy because his ladies ran exceptionally well at the Lone Star Conference meet. Jeff Cavalunas. And Jeff, welcome back to Sportslook.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to be back.
Jeff, we did talk about the fact that Lone Star Conference meet took place, and for a second year in a row, the Greyhound ladies finished in third place. A lot more difficult this year because not only was the conference bigger, but the conference meet took place at the highest altitude you're going to run at.
Yeah, with the expanded conference, 17 schools, some very good programs coming in with Dallas Baptist University and Lubbock Christian. It was going to be tougher. So again, to walk away with that third place finish was great for our women, great accomplishment, did well. The goal now is move out of that third place, but it was a great meet. I mean, they performed well. They came around at the right time, kind of, the plan all came together there. So we're really performing well in this championship part of the season for the Lone Star meet and then going into the regional championships this coming Saturday.
Of course, when you talk about cross country, for people who have never been at a cross country meet, you have every team, they're lined up at the starting line. You get off and you say, well, okay, you're running distance, and so it's not really going to be that big of a deal. But running in that big a pack, you've got to establish yourself pretty early on. Yeah,
we're looking at, close to 170 runners, on the start line, all starting at the same time. So that first 200-300 meters, when everybody's really kind of fighting for a position up towards the front, it gets crowded in there. And at some point, sometimes runners got to be a little aggressive, make their way through and not get caught in the back. With cross country, with that many runners, if you get too far back, in that first couple hundred meters of the race, it may be tough to move up to that front spot, over the next 3 or 4 or even half mile. With so many runners in the field.
In terms of the actual course that you were running on a golf course in Silver City. How much room was there to pass one side or another off the actual track that had been laid out?
Yeah, this course was pretty tight. So the first turn was only about 300 meters out. So that's where it was pretty tight. Some courses it may be 600-700, maybe a half mile before that first turn. But every place we go, it's a little bit different. Every course is a little bit different. So this one had that first tight turn really early in the race. So a lot of runners really had to get after it from the gun, and be a little more aggressive in the first couple hundred meters to get their position in. So, some of our girls did that. Aminata Kenyawani, got out aggressive, got in that front spot, right from the beginning, and that's where she raced.
And of course, she had a pretty good finish.
Yes, she did. Newcomer of the year, as a junior transfer from Pratt Community College, I knew she would do well, but it was her first championship type meet and championship meet over 6,000 meters. So, no matter how much experience, that change from 5,000 meters to 6,000 meters, it's a little bit different. So she did very well. She's a competitor, got right up in there and raced for that top spot.
We had a feeling, and I, of course, had a chance to talk to you even before the season started, and you were telling me you thought she'd be something pretty special. Who was the most pleasant surprise for you going into the Lone Star Conference?
Really, one of the nice surprises has been Neri Gatrade. She's one of our transfers originally from Israel, came over from Iowa Western Community College. She's really an 800-meter type runner on the track. So 5,000, 6,000 meters in cross country is kind of getting at her limit. Yeah. But she's really coming on strong here at the end of the season and getting used to that cross country, the 5,000, 6,000 meters, and she had a good race. She, was in that 17th position and really fought, 13th through 17th throughout most of the race. So that was a really nice surprise to see her coming on strong here at the end.
In terms of the girls that ran for you at the conference meet, are they all fairly similar types of runners, or do you have a couple that are pretty good at pace and a couple that rely on a big kick?
They're all pretty similar. They're all, kind of pace runners. In cross country, my training program really emphasizes strength, for all the runners, which is being able to run strong throughout the whole race. At this level, Division II in the Lone Star, you got to be up there going hard the whole race. It's not enough time to be a kicker type of thing. If you want to be in that all conference type position, that top 10, top 15.
We don't want to neglect the fact that there is a men's component. They finished in 13th place, if I remember
They did.
correctly.
Yep. They struggled a little bit, unfortunately. I have a younger men's team, probably not quite as experienced. And, the men moved from typically running 5,000 meters, 3.1 miles in high school, to 8,000 meters, which is 5 miles. So it's a pretty significant change for the men. So being a younger runner, it takes a little bit more out of you to train for 8,000 meters. And with the youth of my team, I think some of them just kind of ran out of gas a little bit. And they did great. They trained hard. Jesse was unfortunately really sick the week prior. Jesse Madrid, who had been running well, and he wanted to race, and it took quite a bit out of him. John Fuente is a talented freshman, but again, part of my job is a time, peak performance just right, and sometimes with freshmen they get a little fatigued with the changes in training a little bit earlier than expected. But many times, they come back as a sophomore, the men, and experience and know what to expect, and it's a lot easier to get through that season second time around.
In some sports, the conference tournament or the conference meet is the end of the season, but fortunately for cross country, there's regional, and regional not very far away from us, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, we're getting after it this weekend for the South Central Region Championships. It's going to be hosted pretty close by. West Texas A&M again is going to host that. We're fortunate. Everybody can attend the regional championships, kind of the first round of qualifying, and then the top 3 teams, top 5 individuals out of that region meet will go on to the national meet. We are probably, would say, the toughest region in Division II. We had the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference schools in, which is perennial national championship type programs from Adams State, Western State, Colorado School of Mines. So it's tough. It's going to be really, really strong competition. Probably only stronger meet will be the national championships. So we do have some at-large bids that may come out of our region also. Excuse me, but it's tough to qualify for the national championships out of this region. But the girls have been running well. We're going to get in there and see if we can. If we're not going to make it, at least see how close we can get this year. Eminata, is really excited, and she has an opportunity to be in that top 15, which may get her a spot to the big meet.
And like you said, the only thing better than to be WT would be to be Eastern, because you're only 90 miles away or so.
Yeah, it's nice. We don't have to travel too far. We're familiar with the course. We don't have to get up as early in the mornings for this and get prepared. So there's going to be a little extra comfort level for us.
Jeff, one final question here. This for the regional, if they qualify for the nationals, that's it. No other last chance qualifier.
No, this is it.
Okay, not like track where there might be a
not like
last
track.
chance.
This is all this meet.
Well, congratulations on 2 years in a row finishing third with the women, and best of luck at the regionals.
Thank you.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll clear this out, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. Well, let's see how much attention you are paying to the World Series. Who was the World Series MVP? If you answered Steven Strasburg, pat yourself on the back. Okay, let's look back to June. Who was the MVP of the NBA Finals? If you said Kawhi Leonard, you're 2 for 2. Now, why did I bring up those 2 individuals? Because they share something in common. At the end of the championships, they both opted for free agency. They're going to go to greener pastures. And I don't want to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but I don't really like that trend in sports. I liked it back in the day when if you were on a team, you stayed on that team. And I can guarantee you that I am never going to trade Sportslook for SportsCenter. Now, who am I kidding? If they came and asked, I'd be off in a heartbeat. But I'd still like to think that it'd have to be a pretty good offer before I'd leave Sportslook. Well, that is going to wrap up in overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of Sportslook. I'd like to thank all of my guests. I had Amanda, Madeline, and Harley from Greyhound Rodeo, had Jeff Kevalunas from Greyhound Cross Country, Orlando Landry for the high school spotlight, my floor crew led by Mr. Griff. So for those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.